How much does it change your effort, though, this weekend with no Christian? I mean, you've worked so well together, going back and forth, both of you working with the Swift. Roberto Moreno's qualified driver. There's no question about that, 12th in the points, but might not be getting the same input back from him because his first time on a Swift.
Yeah, but Roberto was with us 2 years ago for quite some time, and he ran last year as well with us. So, you know, he's very good in these things, and he's going to be a big help. You never know, he might have learned some stuff on the other side as well, which might be able to help us. So from that standpoint, I think our team's going to be good. It's just disappointing for especially his team, 11-car team, because, they were doing so well and right there in the championship, and, it's disappointing now that he's going to not really, be able to do well now.
Speaking of the championship, this is kind of a crucial weekend here in Detroit.
Yeah, these next 3 races are probably the most important. It'll set up the run for the championship, I think. So whoever can come out of here strong in points, I think, is going to be looking good for the championship.
A lot of races you look at on Friday and Saturday. You're doing a lot of work getting ready for race day here. So important to qualify up front. Do you concentrate more on that aspect? I believe so, yeah.
You're going to definitely be setting your car up to get that one good lap in, because if you can get up there, it's going to be very difficult for guys to pass you, even if you're a little slower.
Is there a crucial point on this track that you've got to get through?
Corners, because it sets up the straightaway, and for me, that's been my nemesis the last few years, so I'm hoping we can get through there quick, and if we can, I think we'll be able to be pretty competitive.
Okay, how the rest of these guys?
Basically, for question regarding the possible merger of IRL and CART, someone that has come so close to winning the Indianapolis 500, how do you feel about the possibility of getting back there?
Well, I'm hoping they figure it out, because the Indianapolis 500 needs us, and we need the Indianapolis 500, and I'm hoping they can figure out a way to get us back there. It's very important for all of us, and I think it's very important for open wheel racing, because all we've been doing is killing each other. We just basically cut ourselves right down the middle, demographics wise, and I think it's very important for both sides to finally give in and do what's best for the sport.
Is one of the keys here, certainly, to qualify up the front. It's difficult to do a race here. You've got to be inch perfect for the full length of the race, and anything up to 2 hours long. So it's difficult. Qualifying helps you a little bit, but you've still got to finish the race.
You talked about that first corner. I mean, is it a big sigh of relief when you get through it?
Certainly is, if you get through it.
Anybody else?
A little bit about more about the changes they've made to the track. I mean, what will that mean just in terms of how the race is different?
What changes have they made for this year?
Well, they said that they've widened the track a little bit, and that means that there's going to be a little bit more room to maneuver and so forth.
I mean, they widened the track in Toronto a little bit. That helped us. By widening the track here, it's got to help. Anything they can do to promote passing, it's got to help. And I think the track with extension they made last year certainly helped. And there was passing down there into what I call turn 3. So I think they're doing a good job. They're progressing all the time with the track, and I think it's putting on a more exciting show for the fans here in Detroit.
Right. Now, speaking of that, just what are some of the unique characteristics about Detroit? What specifically do you have to do to, in terms of your own strategy when you come here? What do you expect? What makes it different than other tracks?
It's generally, each street course has its own character, but this is a street, it's a street course of the, you treat it the same as any other street course, really. It's particularly difficult with the certain parts of the circuit can be a bit interesting at times, but no, it's pretty much one of these places you have to get to the end of the race. It's very easy to be taken out in the first corner or involved in somebody else's accident, so patience can certainly help you. Thank you.
Make sure you get the spelling of your name right.
Franchitti.
Sorry, say the last part again.
Itti.
T-I, and will you spell your first as well?
Dario, Dario.
And how old are you, sir?
26.
And can you tell me a little bit about your team? It's the
Team Cool Green.
Just like a shirt. Yeah. Makes sense. Thanks a lot.
All right.
You and your teammate, Paul Tracy, although, there's been 2 very public incidents within the team, now the past 2 weeks have been the absolute model of teamwork, with both a 1-2 at Toronto and last week both posting very good results in Michigan. What do you account for the turnaround?
I don't think that. I think the way you sort of phrase that, you're making those were those were very selected incidents. Yeah, and they happened, over 2 years, and basically it's two competitive guys going for it. And I think Paul and I have always worked together as a team, and I think now you're starting to see the results of that. The 1-2 in Toronto was really perfect for Team Co Green. You can't really ask any more from a weekend. And we're just working well together. Paul's finishing consistently. I'm trying to finish consistently, and we're trying not to. We're racing each other hard, but trying not to get into any of those incidents that we have in the past.
Exactly. The competition in kart right now is so close. On a circuit like this, it can be 2.3 miles long, but yet somehow, in almost the first 20 guys of the field are only separated by seconds. Well, what do you account for that?
I just think the teams are doing a very professional job. The drivers are all working to their maximum, and Firestone are doing a good job with the tires for us, certainly, and the continuity. Everybody's got basically the same tire at that point, and I just think is getting their act together. There's no room anymore in the championship for people who are sort of working at 8/10. Everybody from the mechanics, the crew chiefs, the engineers, the drivers, everybody's working at 100% to achieve the result, and just because of that you get such a competitive field.
Exactly. Passing here obviously very difficult. How much more do you have to put into a good qualifying lap?
I love qualifying anyway, particularly on street courses. There's something special about getting that one lap, but it matters here because overtaking is so difficult, so you have to really work at it. But at the same time, you can win the race from a mid-grid if everything goes your way, but it's a lot easier to win it from the front, I would say.
And this track in general, how do you feel about it here at Belle Isle?
I like it. I like the track. It's got some interesting little bits about it. It's a little bit bumpy in places, but whatever the track you've got to race on, as long as it's safe, you get out there and you do your damnedest to win the thing.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
I actually have one more question. What are some of the things you really have to focus on to lead you to a win this weekend?
You just have to make the car as balanced as possible, really get the thing working over the bumps, have a consistent car that works throughout the whole race. Obviously you can't have any mechanical problems or make any mistakes, and really I think patience is critical here from a driver's side of things, but everything has to work well to win the race.
So a couple days beforehand, how do you feel going in?
I'm definitely confident about this place. I like street courses. Team Co Green had a 1-2 finish in the last street course race, so I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but we certainly have confidence going into this weekend.
One final aspect, you go from a track 2 weeks ago, 2.2 miles long, high banked, speeds approaching 240 miles an hour. All of a sudden you're back to a street course like this where, although high speeds are attained, very slow corners. How does it work from a driver's standpoint going from that type of circuit to here?
Well, we did the same with Toronto where we swapped around, we only had a week to separate those two races. You just get into it, 2 or 3 laps, even less than that in fact. My mind's already set on what I'm doing here. I've forgotten about Michigan 2 weeks ago, on the speedway. I'm ready to drive a street course now.
Well, good luck.
From Windsor just across the river, not across. So what are you expecting from this weekend?
Well, just try to get a good weekend. It's going to be difficult a bit, it's another new track for me. I race here in Barbershop, but they changed the track, so we have to work on that a bit.
So you're leading the point standings. This is your rookie year. Are you finding it hard to keep it away from keeping the speed here at the track? Are you getting a lot of speeding tickets?
I don't know. I just try to go everywhere I go. Just try to go as quick as I can. Simple as that.
How do you explain just jumping onto the circuit and dominating the way you have this year?
Don't know. It's a lot of work. Target, Honda, and Firestone been working really hard for me, so I try to work hard for them as well. So it's teamwork. Okay.
What are some of the things you focus on going into this weekend or really think it will lead you to win?
Basically, it's car setup. If we can get a nice balanced car, we can go very quick. Normally when the car is not perfectly balanced, you try to improve it, and sometimes it's gonna be difficult. Like Toronto, for me, was very difficult. We couldn't find a good car, and the weekend wasn't brilliant. But I hope here we have a good car. We won here last year, so we'll see what happens.
Talk a little bit about the competition here.
Oh, it's very hard. It's very hard because the biggest thing is everyone is in very similar conditions, so it's a lot harder to race here.
Kind of just beginning your racing career. Can you take us back to what first intrigued you about racing?
But racing, I don't know. Since I remember, I've been racing. So I started when I was 5 years old in go-karts. So I've been racing all my life.
A track like this, obviously, very difficult to pass. You excel at qualifying. How important is it going to be here?
It's about 80% of the race will be in qualifying, and you know, maybe not that much, but it's very big. The other thing, you know, you got to do pit stops right, and just get to the end to get good points.
Coming. A couple of step backs there where you didn't get points, but you came back strong at the US 500. You're still on top of the point standings, so can you get it back in the next 3 on road courses?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna try to. You know, we had 2 races. One that I thought we had it in the pocket. That was Road America. We were very quick there, and Toronto was a nightmare. You know, from day one was a nightmare. I hope, you know, that was it of bad luck, because US 500 was good as well. So we're gonna work hard here again.
You always seem to be on an even. You never seem to get excited about the wins already. Do you? When you get away from the track, do you start? Hey, yeah, this is great.
No, I get excited. You know, sometimes even that you get a bit excited, you always want to do better. And you know, sometimes even that you win, sometimes you make mistakes, and you know that could have cost you the race.
I know you always thought you would do as well as you're doing it. From people around, it's like, okay, wait till he gets here, wait till he gets there. You've heard that story. Are you at the least bit surprised that at this point of the season you're atop the points and had the success you are, that maybe it would have taken a little longer?
Yeah, I think the ovals I thought was going to take longer, but I think Dario has a good car, and you know, we improved with Morris. We did a good job to improve the car to my driving liking, and that helped a lot.
Well, how important is the momentum that you've built up to keep it going for the rest of the?
Momentum. I don't know. You know, I try to take each race step by step. You know, get there, try to have a nice car balance, and try to go as quick as we can.
You have a little less experience than a lot of the drivers, so talk a little bit about pressure.
Pressure hasn't been huge. You know, it's pretty big, but you have to learn to handle it and try to do the best with it. You know, I ignore it.
Okay.
I'll try to speak Canadian for you.
That'll do. First of all, how do you feel going into this weekend's race?
I feel great. I mean, it's a race that brought quite a bit of success for me in the past. I finished, I think, third 3 years in a row, and was on pole here before and everything. So, actually, looking into the result that we had in Toronto earlier on this month, I think we're looking to a good result here, I hope.
What do you have to do to win this race?
You get to the checkered flag first. Sorry. I mean, it's like most races. Everything has to go right. You know, all the way from Friday morning to eventually Sunday afternoon. You know, every practice has to go right. You have to make progress with the car at every practice to hopefully start at the front. And eventually have a consistent run through the race at the front and good pit stops, because it's certainly very difficult to overtake.
Can you talk a little bit about what the competition's going to be like here?
As tough as ever, really. I mean, it doesn't seem to get any easier. Every year you think, oh, maybe this year will be a little bit easier, but it's been very, very difficult this year. We have had many different winners so far this season, and I expect this race to be, you know, very tough. I mean, there's going to be at least 10 guys, I think, that can challenge for the win.
So pretty intense pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess should be used to it right now, but it always gives you a little bit of nerves going into the weekend.
Well, with the series as competitive as it is, how important is qualifying going to be on a track as twisty as this?
I think quite important. You know, Detroit has been notoriously difficult to overtake. I mean, out of the street circuit, it's probably one of the most difficult ones. They made some improvements on the track here last year to try to address that, and it certainly did. But it remains a street circuit, and by nature they are hard to overtake. Therefore, it's important to qualify up front.
What do you think of this track?
I love it. You know, even though it's a tough track to race at, is a great challenge for the drivers. You know, it's got many different turns, and it's very difficult to go fast here.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Okay.
Well, talk about a busy weekend. I guess tomorrow afternoon, right after first round qualifying, heading off to Indianapolis for the IROC race. How do you feel about that?
That's right. Me and Greg Moore, we are heading after qualifying for 40 laps there in Indianapolis. I mean, you know, it's going to be a little bit hectic, but I think we're going to do okay.
How do you stay so focused with so much going on?
Well, you know, there are so different things. For example, yesterday I tested all day in Indianapolis, so I felt pretty comfortable with the car. You want to wait? Okay, so what was it? Which one? Really, there's two different things. Yesterday, for example, I was testing all day there in Indianapolis with the aero car, and I felt pretty comfortable. And here, basically, you just have to change the channel. And just, I don't think it's hard to be focused because I've been doing this for a long time. So even though I say that, it's my first time ever that I do this so tight in a weekend. But I think it's not going to be a problem. There's other drivers that have done it in the past. So everything is planned, everything is set and organized for us to get there in time and get us back here in a private jet and all that. So
being a car driver, there's already so many different levels to the driving. There's road courses, street circuits, super speedway.
Exactly.
Now you're taking on stock car type IROC cars. How much of a change is it going to be mentally to switch from open wheel to, you know, the stock car type cars over at Indianapolis?
I don't think it's as much because, I mean, we're used to race different racetracks all the time. I mean, last weekend we raced in Michigan 500, but the weekend before was Toronto, which is a street course, and we were back into a street course, which is Detroit. So that really doesn't affect us because we do it all the time. The only difference this time is that it's a very different car. So it just maybe take me a few laps, not in this car, but in IROC when I get there, just to, you know, the car rolls a lot and it's a different position. The steering wheel is very big and it's just so different. But we should be okay. I may answer those questions after the weekend.
Finally, a track like this, qualifying, so important both tomorrow and Saturday. How intense does it take for you as a driver to get into that mode, to get the fastest possible lap out of your car?
Well, it's something that you just have to be very determined. You have to trust in your car and just go for it. I mean, you just have to put a perfect lap, and you have to take sometimes some chances and to be able to get that special lap. And it's very, very important, as you say, to qualify well here. And of course, here is always you put a lot of effort into that situation to qualify good, and we always done good here. I think I have qualified twice in third place, and I have finished on the podium last year. But we always finish on the top 6 here, so hopefully this will be the year we can win the race.
Excellent. You're doing great in this year's championship. What do you think about the next few races and your possible chances with the championship?
I think we have chances. We just need to keep focused, and we have done some mistakes on the pit stops and myself in other circumstances, and we just have to keep focused and not make mistakes and just finish. And we know that if we finish and we have a smooth weekend, we have a big chances of winning. And these next 3 races, you know, Mid-Ohio I won last year, here I came second last year. If we manage to put a 2-3 strong results in the next month, which we have a lot of races, I think we will be able to challenge for the championship.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Room to pass here, but still not as many spots as perhaps some of the guys would like. Qualifying is obviously important.
Yeah, qualifying is really, really important here. But you know, the thing about it is that you know, I think we can qualify quite well, and you know, we've just got to you know, we've had a couple of bad races in a row, and so we just got to kind of get back on the horse and you know, get back getting a lot more points. And you know, I know my guys have been you know, even if we haven't been finishing some races, it hasn't been the guys' fault. It hasn't really been my fault. We've just been in the wrong place at the wrong time a couple times, and you know, I think that we've got a good shot of doing well here. And you know, our main focus is just get as many points as we can this weekend.
Pretty good stretch now after, of course, a couple of weeks ago in Michigan, now here, then over to Mid-Ohio, a chance to stay in this neighborhood anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. You know, obviously we've got 3 in a row right now here, Mid-Ohio, and then Detroit, and then, or here, Mid-Ohio, then Chicago, and then we've got 1 week off, and then we've got 3 more in a row. But you know, it's difficult for us. You know, obviously we're very, very busy in doing things like that. But you know, with the strength that I've got behind me with all my mechanics and guys like that, I think that we could have a pretty good next few races.
You mentioned just across the river from Canada, you've had obviously pretty good success here. The other Canadian, or one of the other ones, Paul Tracy's also had pretty good success. Any reason that you guys run so well here in Detroit?
I mean, you know, I guess you could say that same thing in Brazil. I mean, you know, I've won, finished second, and finished third in Brazil in my last few races there. So, you know, something about the Canadians doing well in Brazil. I think it's just you know, a question of you know, just it's the kind of track that suits our style a little bit more, or something like that, or we have a setup that's a little bit better than some of the other guys. But I mean, our series is so tight and competitive now. You can't say, well, you know, we've done here in the past. That doesn't mean that we're going to do good anymore. You know, we've just got to make sure that our game is raised to the next level, because that's what it's going to take to win here.
I want to see lots of Canadians over here, some Canadian flags rooting on this weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see the Canadian flags. I mean, we see them wherever we are around the world, but to, you know, be in Toronto a few weeks ago, and, you know, obviously here in Detroit, you get a lot of the guys from, a lot of people from Toronto and Windsor and places like that come down, and, you know, they just want to see a good car race, and normally we put a pretty good one on here at Belle Isle. Well, I mean, you know, there's so many people that are competitive in this series that, you know, you can't name one or two guys to say that I think these are who's competitive into winning this race. I mean, obviously Dario and Juan, you know, Paul, myself, Michael, you know, you could just make the list bigger and bigger. And, you know, I think that's the excitement of our series, is that, you know, you can go out there and there's no given, you know, this guy's not going to win today because, you know, he won the last race or anything like that. It's just it's a wide open deal until, you know, the last 20 or 30 laps, and you got to feel who's going to be towards the front. And, you know, as I proved in '97, you know, you can never say, well, this guy's going to win until they actually cross the checkered flag, because, you know, I was third when we took the white flag and managed to win the race here when the two guys in front of me ran out of fuel. So it was it's this race here. I mean, our whole season all year long is very competitive. The track here at Detroit, it's a bit difficult to pass on. It's a fun track to drive on and practice and qualify. But, you know, for racing, it's a little bit different, you know, because it's you know, there's only one passing area that's down in turn 3 after you go through turn 2 on that big long straightaway, and so, you know, you've got to try and make a guy make a mistake, or hope he makes a mistake, following him around the rest of the track, and, you know, maybe you can be a little bit quicker through turn 1 and 2 and be able to get by them.
As a Canadian racing for a Canadian sponsor, obviously it's not something you think about, going 240 miles an hour across the front stretch at Michigan, but how do you feel being able to drive for, you know, a Canadian sponsored team?
Well, I mean, you know, without players and Jerry Forsyth, there's no way I'd be where I am today. I mean, you know, when Jacques Villeneuve won the IndyCar Championship for players and for his team, then, you know, it opened, and he left for Formula One. It opened up an opportunity for me, and you know, without those guys, there's, you know, without a doubt, there's no way. I mean, me and my engineer and a bunch of these guys wouldn't be where we are today because of them.
Besides, you know, being able to race around this track tomorrow in that car, you've got even something else on the plate. After qualifying's done, you've got to head off to Indianapolis. How do you feel about that?
I mean, that's going to be something different for me, but, you know, I've been in Indy the last couple of days testing the IROC car, so I've got a feel of what the cars are going to feel like in the race. And, you know, obviously it's going to be a busy Friday afternoon for me, for going from this car and then about an hour and a half later being an IROC car, but, you know, it's all relative. I mean, it's just another racetrack, it's another car, and, you know, it's got four wheels and tires, steering wheel, and, you know, 3 pedals, and you just got to drive it as fast as you can and pass as many people as you can, and at the end of the day, see how you end up.